Have you ever had a craft supply sitting on your wish list for years? One you just kept talking yourself out of because you weren't sure how much you'd actually use it? That was me and the Cinch bookbinding machine until the team at WeRMakers sent me one. So lucky. Hello creative friends, welcome back. Today I'm crafting with the WeRMakers Cinch bookbinding machine. I'll show you exactly how it works step by step and we'll create a cute little mini album together. I'll share my first impressions and what I've learned so far, and the one thing that's changed my mind as to whether this is an essential paper crafting tool or not. This is the WeRMakers Cinch bookbinding machine, and if you haven't seen one of these before, at first glance, it may look a little complicated, but stick with me because once you see it in action, you'll realize it's so much simpler than it looks. Now, this is only the second time that I've used this machine, so if you've been thinking about buying one too, and you're not sure if there's a big learning curve or if you'll actually use it, keep watching because all of those questions will be answered in today's video. So first things first, of course, I have my Cinch binding machine pulled out. I've also pulled out my wire cutters. I will need those. And of course, the binding wires themselves. I'm using the 1.58 centimeter binding wires for today's project, and I'm going with a really pretty plain white, lots of colors to choose from and lots of sizes to go with the machine as well. And these items here, these ones, they are sold separately. So when you do get your binding machine, it will just come with the machine and the full instruction manual. So you will need to pick up these extras while you're at the store. With those at the ready, we can now start to work on the pages of the mini album. So the very first step in this process is to organize all of the papers and pages of your book. And this is what mine currently looks like. So you do need to think about a front and back cover. And for this particular book, I have worked with chipboard and I have cut the chipboard down to size and then glued on two separate sheets of pattern paper. Just added them on, glued them down, and then actually sanded the edges. That gives this distressed look, and it also gives a really neat finish to the paper. So I have done that front and back. Now in between your pages, you can do anything you like. If you're making a notebook, I would suggest making all of the pages the same size. These are 6 inches by 4 inches. But I would like a little bit of interest in this album. So you'll see I have some pieces that are the full 6 inches, but they are quite a lot shorter. And that's really just a fun element that I wanted to add. So I have assembled all of the pages, I've cut all the pages and I've assembled them in the way that I would like to see the book. This one here is slightly smaller than 6 inches. It's actually 5 inches, but it is still the 4 inches wide. Again, just a little bit of something different to add some interest into the album. Here's another one that's the full height, but not the full width. So go through, collate all your pages and get them in the order in which you want to have them in your mini album or your book. This one here is actually a vintage recycled paper music sheet that I thought, well, that would be nice to add. This paper is very thick. It's the Vicky Booten 49 and Market paper, and it's very thick. And I just thought it might be nice to add a little bit of softness in here. Here's another one, and then another smaller page. So that's all ready to go, and I'm very happy with that. You have to have this locked in before you start binding. Make sure this is exactly how you would like it. The other thing I would add here is that if you want to add any stitching, it's probably best to finish off the pages and do all your stitching and then bind it. rather than trying to kind of fit your book assembled through your sewing machine, especially if you want to sew on this edge where that binding's going to be. If you want to add a little bit of stitching to this side, you probably could, but down here is going to be very difficult once that binding's in place. So I am really curious to know, do you already have a cinch machine? Or are you looking to maybe buy one? Let me know in the comments below. I also have some extra elements that I'd like to add in, and that's these things here. This is 4x4, and these are tags that I would like to bind in something like that in a couple of places. I'm not sure, maybe even like that on the same page. Not sure exactly yet on those, but I do have those ready as well. And then the next thing you want to do is get scratch paper for all of your paper sizes. So this is my 6x4, this is my 5x4, and then this sheet here is the same width as these. Because what you definitely don't want to be doing is binding into something that you haven't tested. So it's really important that you have some scratch paper at the ready in the size that you're going to be using, so that you can see exactly where the punch is going to go before you start punching into beautiful paper. To get started, the first thing I need to do is release the bar. So I just undo this clip here, and then that will release the bar up. And now we can see the ruler, and this is going to help you determine where your center marks are. So it's marked in inches, and we are making a 6-inch book. So if you're making a larger than 6-inch book, this slides out. So you can go all the way up to 13 inches here. I'm keeping things very simple and going with a 6-inch book for today, so I can keep this ruler in place. And I'm going to start with my 6x4 sheets of paper. So I'm going to test my first sheet with my scratch paper. So as I insert the paper into the machine, you might notice that the pegs here extend past where the paper is. So we won't want a hole that's going to punch halfway off the edge of the paper. So what we need to do is pull those pegs out towards me to make sure that they don't punch. All the other pegs are going to be pressed in and they will punch. To position the paper, you want to press it towards this bar here so that it rests on there, and then into the machine, and you'll find that it fits nice and snugly because it now has two hard edges to sort of sit up against. I can see that the paper does now extend past my number 11. So I am actually going to push that one in because I will need that spacer. I just don't need the last one. And let's give this a test. Now, obviously that punched through very, very easily because it is just a single piece of copy paper. And you'll see the holes look good. This is where you want to check that everything looks correct, because this is exactly how you'll have it come out on your proper paper. So now I am going to flip through my book and do all of the pages that need to be done that are this size. So double checking as well that I have everything facing the way that I would like it facing. So my text is upright when I look at the book and the binding's going to be on this edge. Let's see how this goes, because this is the chipboard plus two very thick pieces of pattern paper. Quite a lot more force required there, obviously. And look at that, really clean cut. It is perfect. So that's my front cover, and I'm going to flip it over this way, and I'll keep going in that same pattern so that I don't lose track of where my book is at. Now, of course, you don't have to do your pages one by one, so I am going to group them together where I can, but this one is a shorter one, and you will notice that this happens. So this bar here is not wide enough for the size of my paper. What I'm going to do here is use this piece as a guide. So I'm going to stick this one with my ATG tape just here, like so. And all that's going to do is allow me to hold it in place while I punch. Now we have this insert. So I'm going to position it this way. Next up, I have a couple of sheets that are all the same size. So there's 3 of those. So I can get to those all at once, just making sure that they are pressed all the way to this edge and then all the way in and aligned nice and tightly. There those are. So next up is my 5-inch high piece. And what I might do, so that I'm not having to retest this size, I'm going to go through the book and I'm going to pull out all of the pages that are the 6x4. I have another shorter piece here, so I am just going to stick them together so that I know they are exactly where they need to be. And in it goes. So I'm going to do these 2 next because the next punch is that music paper. And what I want to do with the music paper is actually have it in between 2 sheets. I feel like that will just help protect it. It is quite delicate. So I feel like sandwiching it in between these 2 thicker cardstocks will be a good thing. Let's see. Yep, perfect. I have another shorter one. So let's do that same trick again. Just enough tape to hold it in place. And I do have music paper as well here. Let's add that to the bottom. There we go. That's that one. And here's our music paper. There's another smaller size, so I'll deal with that in a moment. And then I have one more of the inserts and then the back cover. So I just want to check that I have done that correctly. Yes, so it is going to be on this side. And yes, my writing is the right way up. So I need more muscles for this one. And there that is. So this is looking good already. Look at that. Every single punch lined up perfectly. I can't tell you how satisfying that is. Okay, on to our other pages. So let's do these ones first. These are our 5x4s. If you're enjoying this video and aren't yet subscribed, press that subscribe button like a sticker to a scrapbook. It really does help me as a creator, and for you, it acts like a bookmark so that you can come back to any of these videos anytime you like. Starting, of course, with our test paper. I'm not going to change anything. I just want to see what will happen if I use this exact setting. Actually, but I do need to change this because I've got punches going out off the page. I feel like 9 will be okay. So let's try. And that looks really good. So that's those ones. I just need to check. This one I know was on the outside edge because I was worried about punching the doily. So I know that one was there. Lovely. And this one I do believe was actually on the inside. Let's see what happens here. Lovely. Okay, so I will have to position them back into the right part of the album, which I'll do momentarily. Then there is this 4x4. Do I have a 4x4 square? No, I don't. But what I could do is I can see based on this one that the same thing's going to happen. I just need to pull out an extra peg here or 2. I think 2 actually. So let's do that. That looks good. And then for the other tags here, these ones I'm really not sure about. So I do have a template for those. Let's see if the same thing will apply. Again, I will need to pull out more pegs because I am only going to peg number 4 now. Now, is that centered? Actually, it is. It is. It's fine. Great. So I can just add these as well straight into here. I will do them one at a time though because I don't want any movement here. That's that one. And that's that one. Cute. Okay, so it's time now to put this all together. So next up, we'll need our binding wires. So my book is now back in order and I have rotated the machine because we'll need this section for this next part. Here's my wire and you want to place it on the machine. You'll see there's a wide side and then a pointed side. So it actually goes wide side on the machine and you'll find that it sits there really nicely. And now we can add on our book, but there is a very specific order that we need to add the book on. And the first thing that goes on is not the back cover. It is actually the inside sheets. And we need to add them on in the order in which we would like to see them. So I am going to add them on one at a time because I want to check as I'm going here that everything is facing the correct way. Here's my chance to position my smaller pieces as well. So I think I will go bottom section for that one. Add them all on, making sure everything is looking exactly the way that I would like it. Well, that's interesting. I'm noticing that that is getting caught a little bit, top and bottom. So what I might do is very quickly trim a couple of mils, one off each end. We're talking about the smallest little bit here, but it will help this to be a little more free, I think. I think maybe just a smidge more on the bottom. The only thing I'd be super careful about is that you're cutting the same distance from the top and the bottom so that everything still looks very centered. That's better. Let's keep going. How is this one? I feel like it's going to be similar. It just needs a little bit off of this side because I want that one to be there. This one may need adjusting as well. Let's see, yes, this bottom part does need a little trim. Let's try that, that's good. So now's the time for you to audition everything and to make sure it's all exactly where you want it to be. And then this one, okay. And then the front cover, you also want to place on as you would like to see it. So this is the top. So I want to make sure obviously that my words are correct. So it's going to go like so. Now for the back cover, you need to place it actually with the inside of the cover facing up so that your cover will end up looking like so. It will make sense in a moment, but as we close the binding, this part here, the back of the binding, is going to hide behind here. So that's why we need to do that in this order. The only other thing I'm checking is that my words, or if I had a print, that it was up the right way. So it's going to go on like so. Now we can take this and we can get to the binding part. What I do like to do here now though is trim off this excess because I can see very, very easily where I need to cut. And what you want to do is cut halfway along this flat edge here. So I know that this is going to be my last one. So I want to go halfway along there, somewhere there. And there we go. So now we have the perfect size binding for our new book and we can go on to step 3. I'm rotating the machine one last time, and this section here is what is going to press these edges together and allow us to close up the book. So all you need to do is adjust this to suit the binding size that you're working with. All you need to do is push and turn this to adjust this. So I'm going to go with that. I might go back one because we can always add more pressure, but we can't really take it away. And then I'm just going to make sure that both of the sides of the binding are touching the back wall here. I'm going to make sure that's hard up against that back wall. And then I'm going to press down the lever the same way that I did before, but I'm going to be very careful here. Once I see that the binding is gripping in there, I'm obviously going to take my fingers out because I don't want to squish them. And now you'll see that that binding has closed. So I think I might go one more here, just one more down. And we'll give this another go here. Yes, that is perfect. Look at that. And now what will happen is your back page will flip around, and then all you'll see down the sides is your clean binding because all of that is hidden back here. And so now I have this really sweet little mini album with lots of little extra bits and pieces, areas that I can decorate and add layers to. And it's all held together with the binding. I love how that's turned out. Now, what I also had in mind, I have pre-cut this. I feel like it might be a little wide now, but I can take it to this line here. I'll fussy cut that out, and I'm going to add that as a layer to decorate my front cover. So what I might do is turn the camera off, go and have a bit of a play, do a little bit of decorating, and it probably won't get finished, but at least then you'll see what it looks like with a couple of extra details added. I've always had just two concerns about getting the cinch. Firstly, I wasn't sure just how much use I would get out of a bookbinding machine. What I didn't realize was just how many creative options a tool like this would give me. The cinch opens up a whole new category of projects that I just couldn't make before. Secondly, I thought this would be so much more complicated than it actually is. So turns out I'm wrong on both accounts, and now I'm wishing I'd got one sooner. So this is my photo ready mini album. It is all decorated and ready for photos to be added and journaling and even more details. So I will flip through it for you. That's the front cover. This is paper layers and then laser cut florals and some die cut pieces that I've layered up there, stacked together. And then inside, I've really just worked on adding a lot more layers to the pieces. So using the die cuts, using more of those laser cut pieces. And then this here is a fussy cut butterfly from this pattern paper. To give the album a consistent feel, I thought it would be a good idea to fussy cut out some of these and add them throughout, and I really love how that turned out. This here is also the same tag that we inserted into the album, which you'll see later here. And I thought that kind of helped it all feel put together as well. So another one of those laser cut florals. And as you can see, there's still lots of room for photos. So you could trim a 6x4 photo and fit this on this entire page and still have this extra detail. This is actually sewing pattern paper. So very light and delicate. I thought that the album needed a little bit of a touch of that. It was feeling very cardboardy, very thick, because this paper quality is amazing. But I just wanted to add a bit of a different texture there. So gone with that. Here's another tag and the fussy cut butterfly. And then for this page, this one felt a little bit heavy with it being all black. So I have then just cut to size an extra piece of pattern paper and layered that on top. This is that doily piece. And same with this one. The purple did feel heavy, so I've added a ephemera piece onto there. This here is a rub-on. And the rub-ons in this collection are really beautiful actually. I've used a few in the album now because they were just so lovely to work with. Some more spots for journaling and adding in details. And then this is a die cut from the collection and another one of those fussy cut butterflies. Here's another one of those die cut sentiments, more doily and butterfly details, and a page dedicated to journaling, which is always nice. I love this little cluster here. So this is die cut pieces, more laser cut pieces, and then this is a pattern paper. And then this page, this is actually another rub-on and then a die cut sentiment. See how I've made it consistent? The butterflies do appear on lots and lots of the pages. So lots and lots of layers, another embellishment cluster here. Now I did want to tell you about this. I think this paper is too fragile to go into the book like this, because as soon as I go to add anything that's thick and heavy, it puts a lot of weight onto this. So I'm actually going to pull this out and I'll show you just how easy I can do that. It is not suitable for this kind of book, but if you do want to use it, if I could do my time again, if I could repeat this, I would have glued this onto a plain white or cream cardstock and then punched it out and then added it to the book so that it had some weight behind it. It's just far too soft and flimsy and the bindings it just won't hold it in place. So whilst I did feel like I had to pull both of these sheets out, I do still have the softness of the sewing machine paper, and there's been a lesson learned. You do need a base, a foundation for your pages that is quite sturdy. Moving on to the last couple of pages, just a few extra details added here, ready for photos, another embellishment cluster. And then that's the last page there. So there you have it. There's the mini album. Didn't it turn out great? I love all the little interactive pages, and there's still lots of options to add even more into those. So my final thoughts on the WeRMakers cinch machine. I can't believe I talked myself out of this for as long as I did. The learning curve is really minimal. Seriously, if you can follow a guide and press a paper punch together, you can do this. I really do love how this turned out, and I think it's going to look even better once photos are added and those finishing details. I'll be sure to link all of the supplies I've used in today's video in the description box below so that you can easily find everything you need to get started. If you too have had one of these sitting on your wish list, or even sitting in your craft room just waiting to be used, I hope today's video has inspired and encouraged you to give it a try. I think you'll feel just as happy as I do once you have one of these of your very own. If today's video has you wondering what other craft tools actually earn their spot in your craft room, be sure to watch this video next. I share the 22 tools I can't craft without. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye. I love this. It's so cute.